The Newsday continues here on One News Now. I'm Charles Lejano. We have some breaking news. Senator Cynthia Villar backs out of the Senate presidency race. And Villar says she's now supporting the Senate presidential bid of Senator Mig Zubiri. Stay tuned here on One News for the latest on this story. The Commission on Appointments has bypassed the ad interim appointments for officials recently chosen by outgoing President Duterte to hold certain positions in government. Officials whose appointments have been bypassed are COMELEC Chairman Saidamen Pangarungan, Commissioner George Garcia, Commissioner Amy Neri, CSC Chairperson Carlo Nograles, and COA Chairperson Rizalina Hustol. The decision comes after the Commission on Appointments failed to reach a quorum in their hearing this morning. Recall that Senator Mig Zubiri floated the idea to allow President-elect Bongbong Marcos to appoint officials of his choice as President Duterte's term nears its end. Despite new cases of emerging COVID-19 variants, the country's risk classification has been downgraded from minimal to low. JC Cosico with the details.
3 returning overseas Filipinos from the U.S. and 2 locals are the country's latest cases of the BA2.12.1 Omicron subvariant. These infections were detected in Western Visayas. The health department says the patients are all asymptomatic and fully vaccinated. They have also completed isolation and are now tagged as recovered. The ROFs had 5 close contacts, with the local cases had 2. All have completed isolation and have also recovered from COVID-19. So far, the country has 22 cases of the Omicron BA2.12.1 subvariant. 18 are local cases which were detected in Puerto Princesa, Western Visayas, and Metro Manila, while the country's first BA.4 Omicron subvariant case, which was detected last May 20 from a ROF from Qatar, has also recovered. His 3 close contacts, all of whom are asymptomatic and fully vaccinated, are currently completing quarantine. But he also had 33 plain contacts, and the government is still determining their vaccination status and testing details. Meanwhile, the DOH reports a slow uptick in COVID-19 infections in NCR Plus areas and the rest of Luzon since mid-May. That's why from minimal, the country's COVID-19 risk classification has been reverted back to low. In fact, 8 of the 17 regions in the country have an increased positivity rate. Apart from NCR, it includes Cordillera, Ilocos Region, Central Luzon, Calabarzon, Western Visayas, Central Visayas, and Zamboanga Peninsula.
Sa kabilang banda, nananatili namang mababa ang mga kaso ng COVID sa Visayas at Mindanao. Ang mga nasabing pagtaas ng kaso ng COVID ay small increases sa ngayon. Wala pang dapat ipangamba.
Despite the case increase in Luzon, hospitalization rates remain low, and so do COVID-19 cases in Visayas and Mindanao. DOH Technical Advisory Group member Dr. Edsel Salvana says this means that COVID-19 interventions are working. That's despite the recent activities which were feared to be super spreaders like the elections.
Even as we increase our mobility drastically, we're not seeing drastic increases in cases because our interventions are working. You know, everyone's wearing their masks, everyone's vaccinated, people are getting boosted. And again, our healthcare system is not under a lot of stress right now, and the cases are manageable. So this is, we anticipate.
That's why the government continues its call to the public to continue following health protocols and have themselves vaccinated and boosted against COVID-19 to control the spread of the virus. For News 5, JC Cosico, we are One News.
We'll be back with more stories after this quick break. Keep it here on One News. You're still watching One News Now. I'm Charles Lejano. Israel opens its hotel sector to Filipino workers for the first time in history. Shaila Francisco has the story.
Minerva was emotional as she finally flies to Israel today. She is among the first batch of 61 Filipino workers allowed to work in the country's hotel sector for the first time. Minerva says they were supposed to leave in 2020, but the pandemic happened. While excited, she's also sad to be leaving her kid behind.
So, halo-halong emotion na po. Sa 2019. Yung nag-start po kami 2020, 2 years kami nag-antay, and then yung sacrifice, yung waiting, andito na. Personally po, hindi po ako magpapahatid sa anak ko kasi maiiyak din po siya. Maiiyak po siya kasi single mother po ako. So parang sa lola na naman siya may iwan. Para sa kanya po yung ginagawa ko, may hindi man akong magawa in person. Pero yung sacrifice po, lahat para sa kanya.
Other hotel workers are also ecstatic to be given the opportunity to work in Israel's housekeeping section.
Sobrang excited po. So papasalamat po kami. Maganda po lahat. Benepisyo, yung salary po na binigay sa amin po. Malaki po yung binigay para sa amin.
Amid the high demand, the country decided to open its hotel sector to foreign labor, but only for workers in Jordan and the Philippines. Israeli Ambassador Ilan Flu says this was a result of a labor agreement between the two countries back in 2018 when President Rodrigo Duterte visited Israel. Apart from Israel saving costs, they also lauded Filipinos' work ethic. Recall that only Filipino caregivers were allowed to work in Israel prior to this.
There's a lot of appreciation for the Filipino workers in Israel. Hardworking, very loyal, and as you know, caregivers, it's a very sensitive area. You're taking care of people. You also have to be reliable and trustworthy because you are in the homes with those people. And the same is in the hotel industry. You need people that are you can trust. The timing was also good because it was also during the visit of President Duterte to Israel in 2018. So basically, everything matched.
Under the agreement, the governments will facilitate the hiring of qualified workers and ensure that they receive the right benefits. Aside from a minimum of 74,000 pesos monthly salary, workers have annual leave with pay, medical insurance, pension fund, among others. Israel targets to hire around 500 workers, but all slots have already been filled out. They may, however, expand depending on the needs of the industry and the performance of workers. Amid the new opportunities, the Department of Migrant Workers reminded interested workers to only transact with the government.
Pag hotel workers po and caregivers, it is under the government-to-government arrangement at pinaka-importante po, walang placement fee. It is very minimal fee, yung lamang pong ticket nila and the POEA processing fee. So basically around 60,000 pesos kasama po yung airfare.
For now, work available in Israel is limited to housekeeping and caregiving, but other countries are also open to hiring Filipinos. There are openings for 350 nurses and caregivers in Japan, 900 nurses and midwives in Saudi Arabia, nurses in Germany, and English teachers in China. Shaila Francisco, we are One News.
PLDT Homes says they're set to complete the migration of their subscribers from copper connections to fiber networks by the end of the year. Jeremiah De La Cruz, SVP and the head of PLDT Homes Consumer Business, says they also remain on track to connect 1 million new fiber subscribers this year, despite some challenges in the first few months. PLDT Home ended March with a total subscriber base of 3.1 million, 2.6 million of which are already connected to fiber. The fiber broadband service is now available to 72 of the country's 82 provinces, and Home aims to reach 5 more before year end.
We are on track. As we mentioned, I think at the end of last year, we did 1.1 million net adds for 2021, and we are seeing a similar trajectory for 2022.
So another million homes more?
We do have an aggressive target internally, and we would like to see 1 million net adds. PLDT Home will be focused on fiber as our technology moving forward. We all know fiber is actually the superior technology.
Here's a quick look at some of today's headlines. The Foreign Affairs Department summons a senior official of the Chinese embassy after harassment by the Chinese Coast Guard against Filipinos in the West Philippine Sea. Incoming Social Welfare Secretary Erwin Tulfo is planning to digitize the government's Ayuda or cash aid program. And several teams delivered straight-set wins in yesterday's action in UAAP Season 84 Women's Volleyball. And those are the top stories of this hour. Join us later at 2 p.m. as we continue to monitor the day's biggest stories. You can also catch One News on Signal Play. Register for a free account at www.signalplay.com so you can stream One News live anytime and anywhere. I'm Charles Lejano. Mask on, wash hands, and stay safe, Philippines. We are One News.